Hi there, everyone. Welcome to this episode of An Engineer's Guide to Hell Let Loose. In this one, we are taking a look at WN71 on the Omaha Beach map from the Allied perspective. Here we have the Omaha Beach tactical map up for us, and I've drawn the red capital zone for WN71. WN71 is notable because the strong point where your cap rate is multiplied is set very far back in the sector this map runs, east to west, and it's pushed very hard against the border here of the soft cap. Actually, part of it looks like it crosses the border into the soft cap for the draw, but I digress. Anyways, uh, that's what we're thinking about defending. You'll see why on the map if you're not already sure about this, but the two most likely avenues of axis attack to WN71, it's some form of backside attack that comes from the north, or some sort of push that's kind of down near WN70, and again it wraps in from behind. If you're not familiar with this point, we'll show you why it's unlikely that you're going to get a direct push and it's going to bowl you over. If it does, your team is probably getting steamrolled, and it doesn't really matter what you do. Assuming that the game is competitive, the two avenues of attack you got to be most concerned with are those northern and southern pushes. Now, the last thing to keep in mind before you build is we're assuming we've lost this center cap, and so much of your team is going to be attacking. And what are they going to be attacking? If it's Veerville, there is a kind of push that can come in here, but it's largely a push that kind of goes West Veerville, that kind of goes in that way. So if it's West Veerville, you shouldn't be as concerned about that north side push because your attackers should be stymieing a lot of that. It doesn't mean nobody will get through, but it's not your biggest concern. If it's artillery battery, it's a similar story but in reverse. The way down, I'm not going to draw this perfectly. Artillery battery is one of those positions where you can hit it from on the map. It looks like this is the front side and this is the back side. There really isn't any good way in from the top or from the bottom just because of the geography of that position. So if it's artillery battery, you need to be less concerned about the south side push. Of course, recon and other folks always get around, but you know, it's triage. If it's Veerville, the friendly attacks into Veerville are likely to go like this and then probably something like that. They may push further from the south. It, it's harder to say, and I think the attacking squads could complicate either a northern or southern attack, but I don't think that they're well designed to stop either. And so here it's kind of Cook's choice as to whether you're going to go with a top side or a bottom side defense, and those are generally the two that I would prescribe. And we'll turn back now to the map to show you where I'm looking. So back on WN71, we are from the Allied side looking towards the axis and the center capital points that are out there. Look, when we're looking this way, I hope you can kind of see why I'm not too worried about a frontal attack. It's very open. With the exception of this wheat field that's broken by this trench with hedges on either side, this wheat field takes you all the way into Veerville. Otherwise, if the enemy is running through open ground and getting anywhere near your hard cap, you probably have other problems. And this is why I'm more concerned about a push either from the north or the south. The north side push looks something like this. The axis get below the sight lines of that plane up there, and they work their way around, and they get up here, they go further down, and they get up here, or they get in here, and then they get up into this trench, and that is WN71 right there. That trench will take them all the way to it. I'm not usually a fan of building your friendlies into tightly packed areas, I think this might be a map, given other things, where it might be more okay to do that. Here, you can either do the barbed wire thing, or you can do a pair of hedgehogs as the Americans and 1 or 2 anti-personnel mines. Remember, you can have up to 6. I would probably say barbed wire there because it's going to be harder to get hedgehogs else. It's going to be harder to get the barbed wire in elsewhere, and so you're going to want to save the hedgehogs. That's what I meant to say. This second area, if you can build the barbed wire in such a way, you could use 2 strands and kind of V it off, and that there's no other way out of here, or use the 2 hedgehogs here and an anti-personnel mine or 2 to cut off this entrance. That would be fine. I don't know that you can do it with a single strand of barbed wire. It's hard to test it if you're the only person in the server, but I would try to cut off this path, because if you don't, there are then these paths up into this is the north side of WN71. This last part here, the kind of earliest path in, is also the hardest to, I think, cut off. It's a little bit wider. It's uneven. Anti-personnel mines, maybe a barricade, or not a barricade, barbed wire, maybe 2, and some anti-personnel mines. I'm not really suggesting that you use all 6 anti-personnel mines. I think hopefully only 2 or 3, along with your 4 strands of barbed wire and your 2 hedgehogs if you need to. And I would try to save at least 2 or 3 anti-personnel mines for these backside trenches. Try to place them around corners rather than like right here, which is the first thing anybody sees. Wait till they're in the trench and coming around one of these corners that I'm staring at, or there are occasionally these intersections of trenches. You can try dropping them in there, but you don't want to place them too close, because everybody puts their bombing runs over the strong point. Grenades get chucked into the strong point. All those things are going to blow up your mines. So I would do those things and then space out your garrisons. These are by no means optimally placed, although they're pretty close to what I was trying to do. Those paired up with hopefully 2 squads OPs should tell you when folks are getting near the backside, and then you can use the soft recon of your remaining mines to find out. Fortification construction right around this existing trench in the road. I don't want to build back here because it encourages piling into fortifications. Those are fine as they are, but if they're lost, I want to have a position to attack into that's already up here. And so potentially putting your bunker, building it up to level 3 here, a pair of barricades perhaps, 1 here and 1 here, looking into that wheat field in case you don't hold it. And then that would mean a barricade or 2 that are remaining that would look back into the fortifications that's already up here and the route into WN71 in case it is lost. It's also going to cut down the sight lines from snipers, AT guns, MGs, all that stuff that's up here that might be looking at that little kind of bubble bunker there that is the WN71 hard cap. It would also kind of connect the garrison that's likely back there with the garrison that should be up here somewhere. If you're going to go with the south side defense, it's a lot of similar principles. It's in some ways more open, but the Axis has to get further back and around on this side and then find a place to cut in. There are lots of gaps in the barbed wire. I'm not as concerned, again, about that attack from the front side. There should be a spawn over here, and so a bunker and a level 3 barricade, and then 2 level 3 barricades looking back. This is into the defensive cap down there, which is WN70, and I'm not sure if my math held up, but then your final bunker looking back at this angle so you can actually look up into Wind 71, which is your defense. That should also help strengthen these other positions, which are otherwise they're kind of here and that's it. But building those tall will cut down some of the sight lines from getting shot down at the angles I'm panned to now, and looking down south here means that even if folks come up through Wind 70, it's not just going to be a free run into your hard cap. Interdiction, I think you got to pick a spot. Maybe it's this spot right here, and build your strands of barbed wire at 90-degree angles out. You could do maybe 2 strands out, 1 or 2 strands out. There, you can do it in other places as well. You can do it over here, and then you want to put anti-personnel mines in any of the gaps that are left in those points, and then you can also maybe throw some in the turns of those trenches that are now into Wind 71. But again, I wouldn't throw all your mines in here because enemy explosives are likely to take them out, and so you want them doing other things. You could also, if you want to be sneaky about it, try to put it in some of these bushes, because what a lot of Axis are going to try to do to get around you is to use this lip in the places that they can move to come up on the backside and get into you that way. So some anti-personnel mines on the backside would help, paired with friendly OP or garrison. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for this episode. Wind 71 is certainly a defensible point if you understand the likely attack routes. They're going to come along the north and the south side. If you get your fortifications right, link them with your spawns, and then use your recon to hunt down any stragglers, you should buy your attacking squads enough time to capture that center point and relieve some of the pressure here on Wind 71. The real big mistake with this one is hovering in that hard cap, which is, there's so much of the soft cap left. If everyone is hovering here and this gets bombing and artilleried out, you'll have no cap weight here, and that's an easy way to lose this. And once lost, it may be very hard to defend. You're going to lose all your garrisons that are here. You're going to have to attack uphill, coming across the beach, and so you really don't want to lose this point, but it is very defensible.